In episode 10, Gadrez argues with Rioni about recruiting Shin. Gadrez thinks Shin should have been recruited first, then tested, but Rioni disagrees and says Shin should be tested before joining. Rioni grabs her sword and invites Shin to start the test. Gadrez gives up and follows. They arrive at a room with a teleportation crystal. Rioni says they'll teleport to a training ground. They touch the crystal and appear in a large room filled with weapons. Shin chooses a sword, and Rion picks a large one. Shin is impressed by how easily Rion swings it. The fight begins, and both sides clash evenly. Rion throws her sword and attacks Shin with a kick, surprising him. Shin adjusts his strategy and attacks Rion. They continue to fight, but neither can overpower the other. Eventually, Shin suggests they stop, and Rion agrees since her sword is damaged. After the battle, Rion offers Shin a high-ranking job, but he refuses, wanting to remain a free adventurer. Rion respects his decision and invites him to contact her if he changes his mind. Shin asks about a sword that was there earlier. Rion explains it's part of an old tradition where men propose by giving a sword. Shin is surprised, but Rion reassures him it's just a formality now. Shin gives her the sword and in return asks for access to a restricted section of the magic library. They teleport back to the original room and find two unconscious guards. An old man named Cardinal Grail is also there, under a spell. Suddenly, the teleport crystal glows again, and Shin and Rion are teleported to the Holy Land Kalkia. Shin contacts his comrades and plans to meet in the city of Volmer. Schnee, worried, contacts Shin, and he explains the situation. They suspect a demon is behind the spell controlling Grail. Schnee and her friend Tira sneak into the palace to investigate. They put guards to sleep and reach the prison where Grail is held. Grail doesn't remember being under the spell. Schnee tries to remove it, but is attacked by a demon named Maganamuku, a high-level Count-class demon. Schnee fights him off with her sword Blue Moon and defeats him. The demon realizes Shin's master has returned. After defeating the demon, Schnee reports to the king. The king, the princess, and Gadrez are relieved to hear that Shin and Rion are safe. The king pardons Grail. Schnee and Tira then leave to meet Shin in Volmer. Shin and Rion find themselves in the Holy Land, a mysterious place known for its dangerous monsters. Rion admits it's her first time there, but she's heard that it takes multiple chosen ones to defeat the creatures within. Fortunately, they still have the skull-faced sword, a powerful weapon, teleported with them. Shin appears unarmed, but assures Rion that it's not a problem. Secretly, he doesn't want her to know the full extent of his abilities, as it could complicate his life and force him into a role he doesn't want. Rion explains that the Holy Land Kalkia has 4 gates, and the Royal Investigation Team had entered through the southern one. There's a smaller door inside the gate that can help open and close it. Eager to escape, Shin tries jumping over the walls, but each time he is sent back to his original spot. After several attempts, Shin realizes the area has become a dungeon, similar to the ones he encountered in a game world. In this dungeon, they're forced to follow specific routes, and if they deviate, they are reset. The only way forward is by following the balls of light, which act as teleportation points. Shin checks the next teleportation point and confirms it's safe for them to proceed. After teleporting, as they move forward, Shin detects about 20 more monsters in the dungeon, but they are limited to specific areas. Their next challenge comes when they face a slime monster named Gillywise, which has a level of 684. Rion initially underestimates the creature and rushes in, but her attacks have no effect, and she becomes trapped. Gillywise's attacks are powerful, but Shin uses sand element magic to free Rion. He explains that Gilslay is resistant to physical attacks, so they must coordinate their efforts. Shin uses fire magic to weaken the monster and expose its core, a purple stone. Rion then destroys the core with her sword, defeating the monster. However, the fight leaves Rion's clothes torn from the monster's attacks. Embarrassed, Rion quickly covers herself and Shin hands her spare clothes to change into. She's thankful but also flustered, as the clothes are a bit tight. After this awkward moment, they continue their journey. Shin asks Rion if she knows any magic. She admits she only knows beginner-level spells, so Shin decides to teach her a technique called Imitation Enchantment. With this skill, Rion enchants her skull-faced sword with fire and successfully cuts through a rock with ease. As they near the gate, they notice a large, mysterious object blocking their path. Suddenly, a griffin-shaped monster emerges from the shell. Shin immediately realizes it's no ordinary monster as it begins attacking with ice magic, freezing the area around them. Shin acts as a decoy, luring the monster while Rion tries to find a way to open the gate. Despite Shin cutting off the griffin's head multiple times, it regenerates every time. Shin suspects the monster's regeneration is linked to a spell connected to the gate mechanism. Shin unleashes his full power using the limit-off ability, finally causing the griffin to stop regenerating. He attacks its head with fire magic, flare burst, delivering a decisive blow. Meanwhile, Rian manages to open the gate, allowing them to escape the dungeon. After exiting, Shin contacts Shni to let her know they are safe and will be heading to the city of Balmul to meet up with his friends. Shni, though not angry, seems jealous when she hears Shin will be camping with Rian. At night, Shin sets up camp, and Rian teases him playfully, making him feel awkward. As the night progresses, Shin hears something in the distance and is shocked to see a large army of monsters heading toward the city of Balmul, signaling that their adventure is far from over. A flood occurs when evil energy from the Holy Land overflows, turning into monsters. Shin notices that most of these creatures are low-level monsters, but their numbers pose a big threat. Valmol has strong defenses and troops, but Rian explains that it has become a fortress city due to its proximity to the Holy Land. Shin instructs Shni to hurry to Valmol as they prepare to face the flood. When they arrive, Shin estimates the monsters will reach Valmol in a few days. Rian reports to the ruler, while Shin reports to the guild. At the guild, Shin meets Baron Lact and informs him about the coming flood. The guild leader, trusting Shin, declares a state of emergency and coordinates with the military to evacuate citizens. Shin offers to help, and after the meeting, he reconnects with his old friend Barrett. Barrett shares information about other players and player killers in this world, surprising Shin. The flood reminds Shin of past battles, and he prepares for the impending attack. As the flood approaches, Shni unleashes a massive blue lightning spell, destroying many monsters, though many still survive. Shin uses his sword's magic to destroy a large number of creatures, but holds back some of his power. Rian also fights valiantly, and she is soon joined by Wilhelm, who helps her defeat a powerful monster. Tira, having exhausted her magic, receives help from Rashia to restore her energy. In the heat of battle, Shin dons red armor and fights under a new identity, Red, to avoid revealing his true power. He uses a cursed weapon that absorbs the monsters' hatred, cutting through their ranks. After defeating the smaller monsters, Shin faces the event boss, a demon controlling the flood. Shin activates his limit-off ability and quickly defeats the demon, ending the battle with no casualties. The battle over, Valmol hosts a party to celebrate the victory. Shin, however, feels out of place at such events. At the party, Shni reveals her jealousy over Shin's interactions with Rian, which leads to an emotional conversation between her and Shin. Shni admits she was afraid of Shin reverting to his cold, distant self if he learned about the player killers in this world. She confesses her love for him, even though she knows he might one day return to his original world. The episode ends with Shin reflecting on his unresolved feelings for Marino, a woman from his past, while also acknowledging Shni's confession. He remains uncertain about the future, but is aware that his adventures in this world are far from over, especially with the lingering threat of player killers.